a great question, but I've been debating and thinking about for a while. And you know, in science, we talk about proximal causes and distal causes, right? The distal causes are like the far ones. The proximals are the ones that are specific to this case. And I think Ron identified the distal ones, right? The cultural thing. I want to focus on the proximal ones, which is how did we get to this point? Well, people don't wake up in the middle of, you know, one day and say, hey, let's go and support Hamas and let's go and hate on the Jews and get 1,000 people and do this on every college campus. You need organizations. And we have an organization. And that organization actually started by Ron Hassner's colleague, Hatem Bazian. Right? So Hatem Bazian in 2004 created Students for Justice in Palestine. At Berkeley, it's called Berkeley Bears, I think, or Bears for Palestine. And he then went on to create a national organization, Students for Justice in Palestine, who indoctrinates students. And they have been indoctrinating students for 20 years. Those students have become professors that do the indoctrinating themselves. And then when he stopped doing that, he created a new organization called AMP, American Muslims for Palestine, whose executive director wrote a blog post for Hamas, right? So he has Hamas supporters on the executive board of the organization that he started, right? And let's not forget the fact that this Dr. Hatem Bazian was a fundraiser for the Holy Land Foundation, which was dismantled by the US Treasury for giving material support for Hamas. He fundraised for Hamas. So you have this organization. Now, of course, we at Colombia have our Joseph Massad. Other universities have those people that have been creating the system. They've been creating the system for 20 years. And they have been setting the ground. And they have been teaching students, and they've been choosing PhD students, and they have been pushing away people that have different views from their departments. So they create this homogenous view of, you know, this is the right thing the right way to look at the world. And they've been duping us as well. Right? So Ron, I mean, I was hoping we can talk about this because Ron, you came out with a statement with Dr. Hatem Bazian, who is known as one of America's biggest anti-Semites. And then in January, mid-January, you came to Colombia for a day of dialogue with Hatem Bazian, right? Giving him the kosher stamp of approval. This is how we get to this point, right? When we let hate be systematic and organized, and we let ourselves be used by the haters to promote their causes. Not saying that, you know, not saying anything about you specifically, Ron, but we have been duped. We have been duped and we have been used. And for the past 5 months, we have been playing catch up with a organization that's been working for 20 years, kind of like festering that hate and creating that hate. That's how we got here. Now, this is happening on October 8th. Remember, like everything started on October 8th, not when Israel started fighting back. On October 8th, they were ready. On October 7th, they started writing their letters, so that on October 8th, they came out with the letters of support of Hamas's rape, murder, torturing, kidnapping, right? But typically what would have happened in a normal society, in a decent society, the administrators, the leaders would have said, hey, that's wrong, that's not acceptable, and this would have all gone away. But the leadership created a vacuum. The president of Colombia has yet, 166 days, has yet to use the word Hamas in any public communication. She apparently doesn't think that Hamas is involved in any way. There's no other explanation. So she created a vacuum that the organizations, they lifted their head up, they saw that nothing happens, and that erupted. That's how we got to this point.